Okay guys, welcome back to the mill. You can tell by my real stylish headgear. It's turned cold here in western North Carolina. A little chilly this morning, but work's still got to happen. If you can see behind me, I got a pile of flitches. We're getting ready to run through our WoodMizer EG100. Get a lot of comments on why you need one of those. You can edge it on the mill. We'll try to answer a few of those questions this morning, so stay tuned. Okay guys, thanks for staying tuned in here. Like I said, we get a lot of questions of why do I need to spend $13,000, $20,000 on an edger? Well, you don't have to. Just to be honest with you, you don't have to. If you mill once a week, once a month, you go out mobile milling once, twice a month, a few times a year, no, don't spend the money. You don't need it. It's not worth your trouble. If you just mill for yourself a few days a month, maybe for a buddy every now and then, you don't need it. That being said, if you're going to mill consistently, you're going to mill 2 or 3, 4 days a week, 6 days a week, and you're going to do it at home, in a building, some kind of structure you got set up, by all means, you need a kiln, an edger, okay? If you're running 2 people, you definitely need an edger. Now, if you're working by yourself at home, it's a lot of money to spend with no gain. And the reason I say no gain is you're having to invest the time to run the edger. But if you got 2 people or you got 3 people, every board that they run through that edger while I'm sawing dimensional lumber is an extra board that gets made that I didn't have to touch on the mill. So there's where it comes into the idea of you need an edger, okay? Because all this wood, Matthew didn't work Saturday, he's having trouble with his teeth. Matter of fact, he's gone to the dentist this morning. But if he had been working, all these boards would have been gone. He would have run through and sorted them while I was sawing. But had a customer, needed 2 6x8, 14-foot long beams. And I had to go through 2 logs that probably could have cut 4 or 5 beams each, trying to get 2 good logs out of it, or beams out of it, because it had so much wind twist, rot, wind shake. It was just horrible once you open the log up. I got 2 or 3 pieces left out here. I'll show you the aftermath. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I got it, no problem. Then I started cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. And the more I cut, the worse the log got. And I was like, oh Lord. I just barely, out of 2 big 24-inch plus chestnut oak logs, well, one was chestnut oak, the other's red oak. I just barely got 2 beams that were acceptable because of all the defects that were inside the wood. And now all these flitches, I don't know if you can get a good look at them, but some of them are 10, 12, 14 inches wide. I'll be lucky to get 6-inch boards out of them, a lot of it, because there's so much defect in it. You got a grain that wandered through and cracked. You got heart rot, you got wind shake. I don't know if you can look down this board here. You see all the defect in that? Just, you can't do anything with that. Yeah, if I was sawing it for myself and I was going to put it up, build a little project, yeah, I could use a 2-foot long piece of it, but I don't do that. I saw wood for a living. If I can't get a 8-foot board out of it that is, usable to somebody else, it's just firewood. We'll make it go away. But anyway, let's get back to why you need an edger. There's a lot of edgers on the market. I actually had an old belt-fed edger that I bought. Guy had it on a frick sawmill. I got it cheap, got it up running, put a PTO on it, and I actually used it one time and just was not happy with it. You know, had the old adjustment on the back side. It worked great on probably a circle mill where, you know, you're not trying to go for a very exact dimension, but I wasn't happy with it. I sold it to a guy. Last I checked, he had sold it on to somebody else, so ain't no telling where it went. But the WoodMizer Edger that we have is a very accurate machine. If you got it set up right and you tell it to cut a 6-inch board, you're gonna get a 6-inch board out the other side. I also use it for kiln dried lumber that we're gonna plane, and they need a good straight edge on it. And I don't care how good you stack, how good the lumber is, 50% of it's gonna have a little bow after it dries. It may bow this way with the grain, it may bow that way a little bit with the grain. We run it back through the straight line edger and just clear one side, and they got a good straight edge to work with. Now, I haven't tried it, but I'm going to put a set of regular 10-inch table saw blades on it with a thin kerf, something like a 40-tooth saw blade. That'll leave a lot finer finish. You can't do it with green wood, but with kiln dried wood, shouldn't be any issue using, you know, your typical 10-inch table saw blade on it to get a little slicker finish. Because these WoodMizer blades, they're not made for fine finish. They're made for hogging off wet wood. And not only do they have the top cutters, they also have a cutter on the side of your saw blade to open the kerf up a little bit in wet wood to allow it to run through. So it's never going to leave you a real slick finish on the finished board. So anyway, this tool is it's a considerable investment. You know, you figure the average LT35 owner is $28,000, $30,000 into their mill, and then you're going to ask them to spend, you know, not quite half, but well over a third more money to invest in an edger to do something that you can do on your mill. And I've done it for years, always did it on the mill, and it worked pretty good. But was always saw it in the yard or was mobile milling. But once I knew once we got into a fixed building that we're in now that I wanted an edger, and it has definitely paid for itself in the speeding up our operation. Well, if Matthew's got a log loaded and he's got a log in reserve, all the slabs are hauled off, and I'm sawing, he's got nothing to do but watch me saw. Now I can take a slab off, throw it away. I'll take a 1-inch board or 1.5-inch board that's wide enough, you know, across the top of the log to make, you know, what's acceptable. You know, if we're making 2x4s, then it's only 3.5 inches. If we're making 6-inch boards, it needs to be, you know, 6 inches between the bark. And I'll slab that off, and he'll run it through the edger to make a board while I'm turning the log over, taking the next cut of bark off of it. It's not like he has to edge the whole log. He might edge 3, 4, 5 boards, depending on, you know, the dimension of the log. But when I get the log down to a nominal, say 8x8 cant, because we're going to make 8-inch boards, well, I'm making boards, and he's done. He's already made all the 1x6s, 1x4s, or maybe even an extra 1x8 or something. So once he's done with that, he's helping me off there, and it makes the process go quicker. So that being said, it's not for everybody, but I love it. You can go back and look at our videos. I've done a deep dive review on this. I love it, and I dislike it in some ways. I've just got some issues, and all pieces of equipment do. And I've covered those greatly in previous videos. You're welcome to go back and check them out. But as far as a product that works, it does work. It does do what it's expected to do. I guess my biggest complaint, I wish it had an hour meter on it. Because this thing has got some hours. You know, it gets run a lot. But it does not have any kind of hour meter on it to be able to tell. So I normally just slap a sticker on there. I service the mill every 50 hours as far as the oil change. So when that gets serviced, I just come over here and really the only service you got to do is grease it, and we fixed that to where it's not such an issue. But every 50 hours, based on my meal time, I try to grease this, and it don't take a couple minutes. So, okay, let's look at this mess of wood I got here to go through this morning. Yeah, just all cobbled up. The logs were 14 one was 14 foot, the other was 16 foot, and I got tired of handling the log stuff on this log, so I went ahead and chopped everything in half and just stacked it up. But I'm gonna run this through this morning and try to make as good of boards as possible. I've got a guy that wants them. He likes chestnut oak for building tables. So that's gonna do it for here. That's enough talking out of me this morning, so let's turn this thing on and get to work. Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, a little bonus feature. This is one of the benefits of being self-employed and your grandkids live next door. And they're homeschooled now, so they get to come by and visit. What? He went to the dentist. Where's Ruby?
Behind you.
Hey, Ruby! Don't mess with the camera.
Well, you're on the wrong side, baby. Wrong side. I'm on that side.
Y'all share water. Okay, guys, that's gonna finish up all the chestnut oak. So over here is our pile. Okay, went through and edged all these, tried to straighten them up, get rid of most of the bad stuff. They're not 100%, but that's reflected in the price. So that's 213 board feet that we salvaged. Plus I got a couple boards here, and I got some over here on the ground that I'm just gonna give him. Told him I would. What we got left here is all the red oak. I'll go through that and chop it up to stay here. We'll use it for other things. Customer only wanted the chestnut oak. So, okay. For all you naysayers out there that you don't need an edger, you can do this on the mill. I don't know if you've seen, I might have forgot to turn the camera back on. I don't know if you've seen how many times I changed the dimensions on the edger from 4 inch to 6 inch to 8 inch to 10 inch back to 4 to 6 to 8 to 10. You know, to do this on the mill, I basically had to go through the whole stack and figure out which ones I want to do, 4s, 6s, or 8s, And then I'd have to go through each one of those individual stacks and cut them twice, because then they'd square cut and flipped over and then make 4 inches. So it's so much quicker on the edger by far, working through this kind of mess. And the only reason it was a mess was because the log itself was a mess inside. It had heart rot, it had wind shake, it had wind shear, it had cracks. I mean, it was knots. Like I said, I wasn't shooting for 100% for this customer, but they are going to get what they pay for, get decent wood. That being said, it's well worth my time and effort to run it through the edger and make the best I can out of it. So, because once it ends up on that bin, it's worth 0. You know, if it ends up on this pile, it has some value, but if it goes out in that bin, it's worth 0. We did all that effort for nothing. So, should you own an edger? That's strictly a you question. Best I can do is tell you why I like an edger, why it's useful around the mill here. You'll have to figure that out for yourself. I would highly recommend the EG100. It's a good starter edger. Is it a good edger behind an LT70? Probably not. It has its limits as well as an LT35 versus an LT70. You know, this is the entry. It's just a little bit above an entry level edger, but it's still a small edger. You're not gonna set an LT70 in front of it here and drop off a slab every 15 to 20 seconds and expect it to catch up. You know, it's too much. but what we do around here is great. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate all the new subscribers we've gotten here lately. It's amazing. Guys, I greatly appreciate you tuning in to watch what Matthew and myself will do. And in case I hadn't introduced myself, my name's Eric. But we're just amazed that you want to see what we do around the mill here every day. If you got any questions or comments, please drop them below. I'll try to do my best to answer every one of them. I had some great questions on some our comments about doing some sawing videos that help people out. I'll try to do those coming up in the near future. But that's going to do it for today. Beautiful day here in the fall, Western North Carolina, a little chilly. Before I forget, I want to give a shout out. If you see my beanie I'm wearing today, it's kind of hard to tell. Oh, here it is, it's sideways. Met a nice gentleman the other day, Shannon Bird from 417 Saw Shop. He runs a saw shop here in upstate South Carolina. Also runs a YouTube channel. If you would, give him a shout, check him out. He does a lot of wonderful things with saws. I hope to buy a hot saw from him here one day soon. But 417 Saw Shop. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you back at the mill.
Thank you for watching. Here's a video selection and a playlist suggestion. Click here to subscribe for more great content. We'll see you at the mill.